All right, here we are in week 14, big 14 already of Bubble Watch. That's where I go into the MLS system, the multiple listing service. I take you into the back end of my account where we look at these numbers to see in real time what's really going on, to see if that Jacksonville metro bubble is about ready to burst. Hey, you know what? I'm just a regular guy who happens to be a real estate agent here in North Florida, and I'm going to take you back into my back end of the MLS, and we'll look at things like pendings, solds, active listings, withdrawals. We're going to look at new construction too to see how it plays out. We're going to check a couple of headlines, check interest rates, all kinds of things. We got a full list of stuff to do. Hey, you know what? I get calls all the time from folks out there looking to relocate here to the Jacksonville metro area, and even some people looking to relocate out. So if you're looking to move here or looking to sell to get out, give me a call. I'd love to hear from you. I can just go over everything with you, and just call me at this number here, or you can text me, or you can email me at the email address below. Hey, first off, let's start off with a headline, and then we'll look at these numbers. Okay, this headline here, and this came from the Jacksonville news station, Jax 4, home buyers backing out of contract at highest rate since the start of the pandemic. An economist says it's the first sign since 2020 that the real estate market is returning to normal. Now you scroll down here and look at this part here, and it said that Zillow had ranked Jacksonville as the second hottest housing market in the United States behind Tampa. And, you know, North Florida homes right there are being sold for tens of thousands more than they were actually worth, okay? They were only on the market for a few hours, okay? Now, they're saying the June report is 25.3% of the Jacksonville buyers have changed their mind, backed out of contracts. Well, but if you look at July's numbers, it's actually probably more than that. It's probably about like 29% now, I think, for the Jacksonville metro area. All right, let's go look at these MLS numbers and see what's going on. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is look at the active listings, what's active out there right now, and it's 5,904. All right, now let's take a look at the sold, and now we go 1 week back, so we're going to go 1 week back on the solds, and that comes out to 437. Now we take a look at the contingent taking backup. That puts us at 892. The pendings for 1 week back, 638. How many were withdrawn this last week? 109. The expired listings came in at 120. Now we take a look at the new construction. Okay, we're going to take a look at the active new construction. That comes to 1,304. And the sold comes to 57. Oh, and let me look at, I want to show you that map too. We're going to look at the map of sold. That's not new construction, just everything. And that was the 437. And let's look at the map view of that. And I just want to show you where all that sales are in this Jacksonville metro area. And as you can see, the bulk of it right up there is all right in Jacksonville and like Middleburg, Orange Park, and Green Cove Springs, and then along the coast. You know, this time though, Palatka does have a fairly good showing, and some of the others, Interlochen, Keystone, and Stark, also came in with a few. So, but that's where you see the bulk of it over there on right in that northeast corner of the northeast, MLS. Okay, now what I do is I take all those numbers and we put them in the chart and we compare them with the last few weeks and of course the last week, week 13. So let's go plug those numbers into the chart and see what we come up with. Okay, here we go. We're looking at week 14, and as we see the actives, 5,904, and that was again an increase. So we're seeing more houses on the market. Sold 437, real close to last week's 439, but it is a drop, so we do have a little bit of a drop there. As far as especially from week 12 when it was when it creeped up. So we've got contingents taken back up. Now these are under contract, 892, pending 638, withdraws 109, expireds 120. All those kind of stayed pretty much the same here with last week. Now the new homes sold 57, so we've seen an increase there. A pretty good increase. I mean, if you look back, okay, look at the because we started back here in week 2. Well, week 1. I got so much going back here. There we go to week 1. Okay, week 1 we didn't count them, so we started on week 2. 62, then they jumped, and then they were at 42, 46. So see, it was low for a while. This was when everyone's saying everything's crashing, everything's crashing. Then they started jumping up. Then look at that, week 9, 39. So see, we've seen it worse. 50, 84. Last week, of course, 32. That was horrible. Now 57. So this 57 number ain't the worst when you look at, I've got some 42s, 40, 46, 39, 50s in there. So that actually is pretty good. And then the new homes active, 1,304. Now let's talk about that headline I showed you where it said right there that, we're looking at about almost 30% of the buyers are pulling out of their contracts before closing. Okay, so what happens is with some of these numbers that we're looking at, when you see these these pendings and these contingent taking backups, see those there, people can be pulling out. Those might not necessarily mean a close. So that's why you could see some of these numbers up for the pendings and active and contingents up there, but then the actual closings have gone down. Like you saw, the overall, started to drop, went down maybe two of them from last week. And the reason being, you can see those pendings staying up, the contingents. But if the people pull out, then they're not going to close, okay? So just because it's pending and contingent doesn't guarantee a close. So that's why you see some of those numbers like they are. Okay, now let's take a look at those interest rates and see where they're at, because, the interest rates is a big factor here. And at the end of this video, I'm going into some other things about the affordability and why people can't get in. A lot of first-time home buyers can't. I'm going to talk about how insurance affects somebody getting a mortgage, getting qualified for a loan, and show you what's going on here in Florida. And then also, last week I showed that sample of that house, that 2 years, how it went up 70%. I've got another example for you, okay? And I know all the people out there that are beating their chest about these prices going down. Well, we're going to compare all that too to see what's going down, what's sold at list, and what's sold above. All these numbers. But first, let's go with the interest rates. Okay, here we go to the chart there for the Mortgage News Daily. And first we'll look down here in this section, and as you can see, where we left off last week, around 5.27, and went up a little, went down a little, then went back up. Okay, so it closed out there at 5.48. So we're still well under 6. So we haven't seen that happen. This is the average there because some folks get less. I just talked to somebody today who they had to get a pre-approval letter, right? And to put in an offer, and they got less than 5%, okay? And I don't know how much time they got locked in, but some people are offering locked-in rates for 90 days right now. So that's great. All right, now let's see what the square footage, remember it started leveling off? So let's see what it's done here this last week. Okay, and we used the Jacksonville area just for a benchmark. So here we are, the price per square foot, and it stayed flat. And this is the longest it's stayed flat all year. And we're right there at $202 per square foot. All right, well, that's still pretty up there, 202, so it hasn't gone down. So it hadn't gone up. And everyone said, they're saying, well, things, price increases are going to slow down. Now we want to look at the numbers to see, okay, a lot of these people, were talking about that the more expensive homes were causing all this. So I started tracking homes that were $500,000 and more to see what percentage of those homes were in the total of those homes being sold. So now we take that, I make that Excel spreadsheet where I import all that data over from the MLS, and then I sort it out. And so we go over those 500 plus homes. We go over the homes that were sold at list, below list, and above list, and see the trend of what's selling below. then we're also going to look at the new construction to see how many of those sold below and how many of those sold at list or above, because that new construction, they've held off for a long time reducing the prices by doing things like giving incentives and things like that. So let's see what their numbers are. So let's go to that Excel spreadsheet right now. Okay, here's that spreadsheet, and this is where I take all the information. This is all the data on everything that's sold in that week that we were. And so what I do is I just kind of clean it up so that it ends up a little more manageable like this, to where I can break down the homes, what's listed, what's sold below, what's sold above, and the new construction. And so let's see how those numbers came out. All right, here's the charts. We're looking at the homes that sold 500,000 and up for week 14, 26%. And that stayed the same as last week, and it stayed pretty consistent all this time since we've been tracking it. The homes that sold under list, 53%, dropped a little bit, still up there, still over half. Homes that sold at list, 21%, that stayed about the same. And the homes that sold above list, 26%, so that's a quarter of them. So as you can see, over, well, about half, it's split. Half of them were above and at list, and then half below list, okay? So that's still pretty strong. So that's still strong, a pretty strong market for the sellers. That's why when you see like almost a fourth of them that are being sold above, it stands to reason why some of these sellers are putting these prices that you would have saw at the beginning of the year, because somebody's taken some of their list prices. Now, are those list prices though that are selling, the ones that are selling above, are they started to price them lower to be more competitive and they got more people? That's probably what's going on. And the ones that are at list, they're probably selling them more at market value. Hey, let's look at the new construction right now. Okay, our new construction numbers came in that the homes that sold under list, 19%. That's a big improvement from the 32% last week. Homes that sold at list, 44%. So you're getting near half. And homes that sold above list, 37%. Okay, so the new construction numbers, are still pretty good. But again, we don't know, what are they giving? Are they giving upgrades? Are they giving some other concessions? So they can be doing that to keep the price up. But some of them are going down. And I'll tell you this, because I get a report on these new constructions. And for the first time, I've really seen some dramatic drops. And one example, the house went up, listed in June. Okay, now it's one that's going to be finished for completion by the end of the year, and it was selling for like around $850, something like that. Well, now in August, okay, just 2 months, there's already a price drop of about $80,000. Now, of course, you're talking about a house that's $850, so an $80,000 drop is a lesser percentage than something that's like a $300,000 house. So, but still, it was a pretty good drop, because all we've been seeing is going up, up, up. Now, these numbers here for, let's see, for what were the, for the regular homes, not the new construction, we had here under list 53%. Okay, here we go, 53% of all these homes that sold under. So you got all the people saying, see, the prices are going down, going down, going down. We've got a crash is coming, the crash is coming. Well, I got some numbers. Let's look at this headline here first before we talk about the crash that's coming. Okay, this headline here, housing correction is dead ahead, warns economist Mark Zandi. And this guy here, he's Moody's analytic chief economist. Now, here you see the headline, their biggest risk in housing. Zandi sees correction, not collapse. So what we're seeing is a correction, not a collapse, just like this guy's saying. Okay, this is a headline I agree with. Okay, everyone's saying, all these houses, are selling below. That's the crash is coming. No. So last week I showed an example of where that, that doesn't mean anything. I pulled one this week, and let me show you this. This is amazing. Okay, I went into the MLS and I pulled, let's see, which one was it? This one right here, okay, in St. Augustine. And if you look at that, here we'll make them turn it into money so it looks easier to see. And you see that it was listed for $650, sold for $620, so $30,000 below list. So you see something that's $30,000 below list price. Oh yeah, you're saying like, look at that. That shows you, man, they're sinking. Their price is too high, it's going down. Well, I plugged those numbers in. I found out what they bought it for, when they bought it, and I plugged the numbers. They bought the house in 2017. I think it was March of 2017. Sold it here in August, of 2022. So almost 5.5 years. So I plugged in, an appreciation table and checked this out. They bought it. It started at $249,900. So they bought it for $249,900. And about 5 years, look at this chart. Look at this. That blue there shows you where the final value is, and look at that line. An appreciation of $370,000 in 5 years because it sold for $620. That's an appreciation rate of almost 20%. I mean, come on, okay? An appreciation of almost 20%, and what, $370,000 off of something you bought for $249 just in 5 years? That chart's incredible. Okay, I think I proved my point. Just because they've got all these, and that one dropped $30,000, but look what it made. So, it figures into those facts for that, but still, come on. I mean, they're still making good money on these houses, okay? Now, I want to talk to you about the affordability and what's killing some people, and this may have something to do with people pulling out. Where you saw that 30% pulling out, this is part of that puzzle. And what it is, it's the homeowner's insurance. And homeowner's insurance here in Florida is a big deal. In fact, here, check out this headline. Okay, right here you can see we're at Family Handyman's site, and here they talk about, here in the Southeast and specifically Florida, that this one company canceled 68,200 homeowner policies in Florida alone, and they blame it on hurricanes, okay? And then down here you see where they're talking about that the premiums are roughly 3 times higher than that national average. And it says right here, rising rates have made monthly mortgage payments unattainable for previously approved new homeowners. You find the house, you got your finance, and there's no problem with financing it. You're approved, everything's fine. Of course they look at your debt to income ratio and come up with the monthly payment. And they figure in taxes and insurance when they're figuring out what you can afford. Well, all of a sudden you get to just before closing and get down, and all of a sudden there's an adjustment in the insurance, or the company you were going to bind with isn't doing anymore and decides to cancel. Now the cost of the new insurance or the adjusted rate pushed you out of that monthly payment. Ain't that something? Everything else fine, but because of this insurance, this is a big deal. And it's a contributing factor to some of these things getting out. Insurance is a real problem here in Florida right now. The legislature's trying to address it, but it's really causing problems, especially first-time home buyers struggling just with inflation, with the price of the houses, and now you got to deal with the insurance knocking you out. So, all I can do, like I said, I'm just a regular guy giving you all the facts that I see here. We look at the headlines, we look at the numbers, and just put them up there for what they are so that you can make the decision yourself on whether you should go out and buy or whether you should sell now. It's up to you.